Hello, I'm Adam Kozort with the Second Street Church of Christ in Belmont, Mississippi. And here's your pearl of truth for today. In 1 Timothy chapter 2, verses 9 and 10, Paul wrote, "In like manner also that the women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with propriety and moderation, not with braided hair or gold or pearls or costly clothing, but, which is proper for women professing godliness, with good works." Oftentimes when we consider this passage of Scripture, we turn it into a discussion of what it is that is acceptable or unacceptable when it comes to what a woman should wear. Whether it be the style of the clothing, whether it be the cut of the clothing, what is it that God finds acceptable and what he doesn't. And there's a need for those discussions, and it's right to have those discussions. But I think when that's all we see in this particular passage, we're missing the point. Paul makes the statement here that women are to adorn themselves in that which is appropriate, that which is respectable, that it is to be done with propriety or with modesty and moderation or self-control. But he also tells us what it is that that clothing is supposed to be. He says in verse 10 that as it is proper for women professing godliness, it is to be good works. Paul is emphasizing here not which clothing is right or wrong, but that it's not the outward clothing that makes a person modest or immodest alone. It is the heart. It is the things that are done. It is the works, the deeds that are accomplished that are the true heart of an individual. You realize you can have the most pretty dress out there, you can have the most fancy clothing, you can have all of the most beautiful jewelry, and yet if the woman wearing all of those things doesn't have good works to go with it, it doesn't benefit anything. A woman can be the most beautifully dressed woman in the world and be ugly because of the things that she does. See, God's not so much worried about whether or not your clothing is from a top-of-the-line fashion store or whether it's a third-generation hand-me-down out of a thrift store. God doesn't care so much whether the world looks at you and sees you as beautiful and pretty or by your outward appearance, or whether they don't see anything in you by your outward appearance. What God cares about is what it is that's on the inside. What do your works say about you? Do your works promote you as being beautiful? You see, oftentimes we put so much of an emphasis on what's on the outside that we're not paying attention to what's on the inside. But I want you to notice one other thing from this particular passage. He begins the statement in verse 9 by saying, "In like manner," in the same way, and that goes back to verse 8. In the same way that men are to pray everywhere, so women are to be adorned with good works everywhere. You see, that doesn't mean that I get to go out and treat my friends nicely or to treat my mom in a nice way and then turn around and treat everybody else like dirt. I don't get to go out and be nice to my friends and do good things for them and then treat my family like trash. I do the same good works, act in the exact same way, no matter where I am and no matter who I'm around, upholding the standards of Christ. So what are you going to put on today? Are you going to be more worried about the clothing that you put on, or are you going to be more worried about the deeds that you put on? For those say far more about you. Are you going to be one that the world can see as beautiful because of the things that you do, or are you going to be one who only cares about whether the world sees your outward appearance? Paul says that what is important is the way that you live your life, upholding the beautiful standards of godliness and righteousness and integrity. The rest will take care of itself. So what are you wearing? May God bless you today.